Hi, everybody. It's Pam again. Um, and speaking from my passion and love for wanting to ensure that every young child, every young South African child, has opportunities to achieve their potential, and the excitement of being part of the creation of these amazing resources that put the tools in your hands to do the incredibly important work that you do with young children every day. So with the picture boards, we're looking in a more focused way at young children's language and how to build that language to help them understand their worlds and how things work. So we all know that it's the young child's language and the words they understand and use that enable them to think, to make sense of their world, and to learn more and more, building on what they know. So when does language start? So many people seem to think that it starts at school. No, it doesn't. Does it start at the ECD Centre or in the ECD program? No, it doesn't. It starts in the womb as the baby's ears and hearing develop. And the extraordinary thing is that by the time baby is born, they already know and can recognize their mother's voice. So babies are born with the ability to learn any language in the world. It's the words that the mums or caregivers, that their brothers and sisters are speaking to them, that are telling them what they're doing, pointing out objects and people, making animal or traffic noises, singing, telling stories from birth. And all that is in relationship. Children do not learn from watching TV, listening to the radio, or anything like that. They learn because of other people. So it comes back to our Ubuntu. People are because of other people. So once the children come into your early learning program, the building blocks of their language are usually in place. And now you have the incredibly exciting task of building on and extending their language and their understanding and the concepts they know and understand so that they can take the next steps in their learning adventure. And how do you do that? Do you do it by telling them everything, by pointing out and saying, this is a window or a door or a dog or a person. This is the color red. Those things, there are two of those things there. Or do they learn by working it out themselves with your support and the way in which you question and extend their understanding? So you do it the best way you can through your love and care that you show each child, listening to them, understanding where they're at, and then talking gently to them, reflecting back to them what they're learning or experiencing, what they're doing. What are the objects in front of them and how do they work? What is the picture saying and what do they understand about it? And you help them to put their experiences into words. And the best way you can do that is through the questions you ask, not the telling you do, because it's the questions that will get them really thinking and will get each child responding in his or her own unique way that shows what he or she thinks or understands. So we know that in South Africa, the international tests that are done on literacy and maths at the end of grade 4, or when children are around the age of 10, that South African children do very badly in reading for understanding and in their maths. So many of these children can read, but they're not making sense of what they're reading. They're not really understanding what's happening. They're not thinking and questioning and reasoning and problem solving, which are the skills that they're really going to need if they're going to be successful in the world. And the most exciting thing is that you can change that, because it begins in the early years. It begins in the foundation of the children's learning and understanding. So these picture boards that are part of the Repurpose for Purpose program are a wonderful tool to get children talking and thinking and observing and describing and building their new words and making the links to what they've learned before and expanding their understanding of the world around them. Through these pictures, you can help them to add new words, draw attention to colors, count how many of this or that, look at where things are in space or in relation to one another, talk about what people are doing, what they're experiencing, what they're feeling, and how the children might feel if they were in those circumstances and doing those things themselves. So it helps children to relate to their own experiences, but also to extend those experiences and understand things that they may not have seen in their own world. So these pictures all relate to scenes that are familiar in our country and can build on what children already know and experience in their own environment, but introduce them to new ideas and to new experiences and to expand their understanding of the world. So the picture boards can be used in many different ways. They can be used to support a theme. So you might be doing a theme around the beach or visiting the town or riding in a taxi. And you can use the picture boards to extend the children's understanding in language and experiences and emotions and how they feel and think. You can use them as discussion boards around particular topics. You can use them to tell a story. You can build up a whole story about a visit to town and what happens. Or you can use the boards to get the children to create a story, which is even more exciting, especially with older children, where every child gets an opportunity in a small group to add their ideas and build the story in that way. So into these activities, you can build so many new words, new ideas, new concepts, and the maths and the science, the learning about society, discussing your culture and the values in your community and what people's beliefs are. The only limit to the way in which you use them is your imagination. And the more children talk and use their language, the richer and more extensive their language will become. And the more they'll have the tools to build their understanding of the world. So it's really important that you don't do all the talking. Use your questions wisely to get the children to talk, and then listen carefully to what they say, because that will give you the clues to know how you can support each child and extend his or her learning and understanding. Encourage them to ask lots of questions and then help them think through their own answers to the questions rather than providing them with the answers and just telling them. And you know what? It doesn't matter if you don't know the answers. It's important for children to understand that adults don't know everything and that there are ways of finding out and you can have lots of fun finding the answers to questions if you don't already know the answers. And then you can let your imagination go into other fun activities the children can do to extend the learning that they've had from the picture boards. Can the children draw or paint their own pictures on that particular theme? Could they create some of the items that they've seen in the pictures out of Play-Doh or clay? Can they tell stories themselves using puppets that they've made or puppets you might have made? Could they create the scene using blocks and other supporting toys like little cars and dolls? Or could they do some of those activities in the playground and climb or swing or dance or pretend to swim? And many of those activities you can bring in to enacting the stories and involving the children in drama and dance, where you create the story through physical movements. So there's no end to the ways in which you can use the storyboards and the ways you can extend children's learning and pull in the ideas and the activities and the thinking and the language into the other activities that you are doing in your ECD program. So again, I say to you that the magic is in your hands. It lies in your relationship with the children, your imagination in making use of everything around you and creating an active learning environment where the children are exploring and making sense of their world with your support and your extension of their understanding through your listening, your relationship, and the questions you're asking those children. So have fun with the picture boards, and we're dying to see all the creative ways in which each one of you can use these wonderful resources. So have fun.